The backrooms have always been the stuff of nightmares for me. The idea of a maze-like world that you can fall into, where you have no way of contacting help, and where you're pretty much damned to die at the hands of monsters or through starvation, it's a unique and terrifying concept, especially the idea that this space has existed underneath us for a very long time. Conversely, when it comes to liminal space horror media, including games like Anemoyapolis and Dreamcore, I'm way more relaxed than I am terrified, and often end up feeling that exploring the worlds in those games would be really fun. Without monsters and with other people, of course. And since the Backrooms have increased in popularity, there's been various games and web series like the one we're discussing today. Into the Hyperverse's Backrooms series. This creator makes a version of the Backrooms that I find really unique and interesting, and it hits a great balance between being alone in an alien and hostile environment and having lots of amazing locations to explore. The first video is about 11 minutes long, and I do recommend watching that in addition to this. I'll be covering the plot momentarily, and there will be spoilers, so I recommend seeing it first. It's a great atmospheric watch with a touch of horror here and there. Link will be in the description. But with that, let's get started. The video starts with our faceless protagonist entering a cabin in the woods, which is never a good sign. From the start, the visual storytelling is fantastic, and a lot ends up being said without dialogue. But also from the start, the protagonist is getting bombarded with red flags. In fact, there is a dual message that greets him as he enters. Curiosity could have killed the silly, adventurous cat, but instead it killed you. One thing to note with the message is that some letters are faint, but others are bolded, which reveals the message you could have lived. Which, given the police tape and overall dilapidation of the cabin, yeah, ignoring it is beyond a bad idea. But ignore it he does, and continues down officially into the back rooms. Occasionally he'll call out to people, and later he finds notes left by two other adventurers, written on the walls. The first of many which says, "Don't enter the door," with the N and T covered up. Besides that is a drawing of a door with an X over it. The fact that someone clearly was trying to cover up the warning makes it incredibly eerie, and were I in the protagonist's shoes, I'd be waving my way towards the exit. He then finds a failed map that someone made. Poor guy. And the notes on the wall give a nice atmospheric touch, like you can see the person, or persons, as the creator says there were two people leaving these notes, struggling to keep their cool while also trying to help others navigate this space. Also, there's a monster. Peekaboo! After being chased and sliding down a corridor, cameraman finds the doors, which look really weird and almost papery, and despite the warnings, he goes through. Which, I get. Between the options, he took the less bad one. But lo and behold, after he goes through and turns around, the doors have completely vanished, leaving more scrawls of notes, the prominent ones being not to look at them and that this is a beginning. Which, given the length of the series, yeah, it certainly is. After more exploring, he discovers a sinkhole in the floor, and while leaning down to inspect it, the monster comes back and he falls down the hole, crashing right into the pool rooms. He's fine, and so is the camera, albeit it's a bit more cracked now. And as he rises and looks around, the first tape comes to a close. It goes without saying, but I love this series, and the videos even have replay value, since the subtitles are actually commentary, and Lost in the Hyperverse talks about lore aspects and little details you might have missed. Some of my favorites are how they went out of their way to push the atmosphere of this place, to make it feel small and uncomfortable. They also did a new design for the wallpaper as well as the monster, And that's what I love the most, because it shows that they're not afraid to do new things with the backrooms. In a way, the wallpaper is what inspired me to make this design in the first place. I feel like I understated how much I like the wallpaper. I really like it. It's this delicate, vintage-looking floral design in an argyle pattern. For me, something like this deserves to be in a prominent place, and so I recreated it for the skirt. And in fact, there's such an outdated but elegant aura to this wallpaper design that vintage elegance became the whole theme of the design, with the skirt being the centerpiece of the outfit. And of course, I had to add a cryptic note, because nothing says backrooms like cryptic notes. The door, vest, blouse thing is something that offsets it and brings a bit more formality to the design. I also chose to put her hair in an updo and add some intricate jewelry. And there's the shrug, which I based on the police tape outside, as a nod to the path that brought the protagonist here. And lastly, there's the shoes. I'm gonna be honest, I kinda didn't put as much attention into them. Shoes are always my weakness. They just aren't as fun to design as dresses are, to me at least. But hopefully this series will help push me to make better shoes, especially as we go to more and more extravagant locations. And that's the finished product. Next up will be the pool rooms, and things will only get more hectic from there. If you guys like this first part in the dress design series, let me know. I might just work on the second design next. Regardless, thank you all so much for watching. And remember, never go into creepy cabins in the woods. It will never, ever end well.